Today it is time for a professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Zerg versus Terran, where we find ourselves on the map Eternal Empire. Spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, playing with the red Terran SCVs. From South Korea, we have one of the strongest Terran players in the world, and he goes by the name of TY. His opponent in the opposite corner playing with the blue Zerg drones. Likewise also from South Korea. And likewise, well, not also one of the strongest Terran players in the world, but one of the very strongest Zerg players on the planet. We're looking inside of the main of soO. Alrighty. So here we go. A good old Zerg versus Terran, this matchup. It's pretty much always good, especially when it gets played between two top-tier players. And, well, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at the replay timer. It seems like this is a very long match. And usually those get really, really epic. So we'll see what ends up going down in this particular game. Both of these guys do, generally speaking, like opening up with a more macro-focused style in the early game. Especially soO, very well known for going up to like 66 drones. That's 3 base saturation as soon as possible. And then especially in the mid-game is when this guy really starts piling on the pressure. So we have to keep an eye out here exactly on what he decides to do. But generally speaking, that's his playstyle. He loves being really, really aggressive. And he generally speaking seems to avoid playing that late-game army. TY doesn't really have any particular weaknesses. This guy, I mean, he can do it all. He's really good. I mean, if you've been watching StarCraft 2, you must have heard of this guy. I've said it many times before in the past, but he joined a professional gaming team in StarCraft 1 at like the age of 11 or 12 or something like that. It's absolutely insane. He used to go by the nickname of Baby. If you want to go on like a Wikipedia reading streak or something like that. Maybe you can't sleep in the middle of the night. Go ahead and look up the history of TY's pro gaming career. Like, this guy's been around for so long, and he's like early 20s. He's not even that old yet. But anyways, it is going to be that hatch gas pool right now. SCV is coming across. These SCVs have become really pesky over the last couple of months. Terran players have gotten really good at exactly this, blocking the third hatch. So notice right here, soO is pulling 2 drones out of gas at about 80. Not entirely sure why I decided to go with 80. I guess it's because he saw that SCV. Regardless, he probably wants to get that third base up pretty quickly. But the SCV is going to be super annoying there. Yep, you can see the SCV patrolling around. Reaper right now is making its way across the map. And, well, basically not until the Queen comes out and until the Queen starts walking on over to the third base is when that hatchery can really be planted down there. So one Zergling already falls. And at this point, TY is in firm control here of the early game. Now, this is so common these days as well. The Zerg players have gotten really good at dealing with this kind of thing, but it just slows everything down a little bit. So normally, for example, we don't see this Overlord coming up. Usually we see that Overlord going up after the third hatch. And everything is just going to be a little bit different here for the Zerg. Now, obviously, it's at the cost of a little bit of lost mining time as well. That SCV obviously was hanging out here for a couple of minutes now. That's going to be probably about, I don't know, maybe 80 to 100 or so minerals lost in potential lost mining time. Not the biggest of deals, but it is something to be pointing out as well. So notice right now, right? The hatchery goes up at like 650 minerals there. Did I see that correctly? Pretty painful. Immediately additional queens get added on as well, and that's usually what we see at these points in the game. Now, most of the time, right, say Zerg wanted to play aggressively, say you wanted to go for like a 3.5 minute roach warren and like rally roaches across the map, the lack of this third hatchery and injects over there are going to be super painful, and usually in order to spend that money, Zerg also has to add on additional queens. So most of the time, whenever that third hatchery rather, gets delayed, we immediately don't see Zerg players going for a whole lot of pressure anymore, just because they can't really afford it because of both larvae and then also the amount of queens that they are forced to produce. So something to keep in mind here. Now look at that. Wow. All right. soO is going for a very, very quick lair. He hasn't scouted anything. Yeah, this Overlord is only just now moving towards the main base. I wonder what he's going to go for here. We do have a really quick, by the way, third command center here as well on the side of Terran. Just going for what seems to be a 1-1-1. So 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. He's going to figure out very little. Yep, I don't think he even saw the starport there. Doesn't really matter, though. One of the things that soO has been doing a lot recently is go for super quick Mutas. If he decides to add on the gases here in the natural soon as well, I think that might be the case. There is already that fusion core coming up too, though. So this is kind of cool as well, right? So I was putting a lot of attention right here on the Zerg player so far in the earliest stages of this game, but this is also something worth noting. This battlecruiser, which I think is what it's gonna have to be, is gonna be very late. So most of the time, this happens all the time in StarCraft, right? Whenever like a unit gets buffed up, we see players rushing it out, right? And battlecruisers, I mean, they were super popular for a little while. Now they've sort of fallen out of favor. Well, actually, hold that thought, because the Hellions might very well be jumping into the middle line. There's a couple of Zerglings, a couple of Queens as well. Oh my god. It takes 3 of these Hellboys to one-shot drones. You know what? That was very, very nicely defended there. Oof. Anyway, so what I was trying to say, most of the time, right? Whenever like a unit gets buffed or a unit gets changed, we see players trying to optimize it and they try to rush it out. If that's the case, in the earlier stages of the meta, that's usually where the Zerg players, in this case, are going to have to learn how to counter those kinds of new strategies as well. Now, over time, those build orders sort of lose favor, I suppose, and you know, Zerg players get better at defending it. So Terran players tend to, at that point, once again, steer away from going for that build order. Right now, this is going to be a super delayed battlecruiser. To put it in perspective, we've seen people in the past go like double battlecruiser builds, or double battlecruiser openers rather, and they get them on the other side of the map by like 5.5 minutes. So at this point, it's literally going to be one battlecruiser that's going to arrive like, I don't know, like a half minute or so later than we normally see, but it's in favor of getting a faster third command center. Pretty cool, right? Plus getting that Liberator out obviously earlier as well. So no detection really at this point for that kind of tech. Although it looks like soO might very well be aware of something not quite being right. He's got a Spore Crawler set up in every single mineral line, it looks like. And he's also going for a Spire already. So, one thing I briefly touched upon earlier as well is that Mutas have become really, really popular recently. Especially for like top-level Zerg players in Korea. And actually, hold up. Oh, this is going to be a Terran Mech opener. Okay, really cool. There's a lot of things to talk about all of a sudden, okay? First up, let's have a look at that first battlecruiser, I suppose. Where is it? It's just gonna fly across the map now? Yeah, very different than what we saw in the past. Anyways, Terran Mech, for the critical viewer, has really become unpopular, I don't want to say, but less popular over like the last, really like the last 2 months or so. I've personally been struggling as Zerg against Terran Mech a lot on the ladder, and I was really excited about IEM Katowice, which was like the first big premier tournament in StarCraft 2. And guess what? I wanted to check out all of the replays of Terran players playing Mech against Zerg, and I kid you not, in that entire tournament, with like 76 or so players, I think is what it was in total, plus maybe even an open bracket, but only one Terran player played a 1 game of Terran Mech. Unless I missed one, but I've checked out so many games and all of the Terran players were playing Bio at that tournament. Now, supposedly, one of the reasons why that is because of Mutalisk. It's a little bit strange, but let's talk about that. So, apparently one of the reasons why Terran Mech is no longer popular is because of Terran players going up against Mutas. Now, my immediate thought process there is, well, Terran Mech has like 17 different counters to deal with Mutas, right? They can go for Liberators, they can go for Thors, they can go for Vikings, they can go for battlecruisers. Heck, they can even go for just a whole lot of missile turrets and just make that really strong army and then max out and then push across the map, right? There's a lot of great options available. But in general, apparently Mutas are the answer if you're a top-level Zerg right now, because you can keep the Terran player on their toes. I'm excited for this one right now, because, well, this should be an excellent game. Now, actually, while this is all going on, that Liberator over there, and then also that group of Hellions, apparently they killed 13 drones here. 21 workers going down right now for the Zerg player in total so far. But I believe what the thought process behind the Mutas is not so much trading very well. It's all about keeping the Terran player contained. So what seems to be the case, right, is that you go for an army and you just attack, and you try and prevent them from going up to a lot of bases. So ideally, I don't know if he's going to be able to get much done here, to be honest, but ideally you prevent the Terran player from ever getting a 4th base. And then while you won't really be trading efficiently with an army like this, Mutas are really good at abusing exposed weaknesses, right? So you can, for example, if you know your opponent is going to be sitting at the 4th base in this case, the natural and the main base are probably going to be mostly unguarded, right? You can really quickly go around, they're super mobile, and you can strike where the Terran player is not. Now, the idea with it is not so much that you trade well with the Mutas against their Terran units, but you plan on basically beating them in the long run by mining a lot more, and then once they inevitably move out, you just smash the army with reinforcements. Look at this. This is so weird, man. I'm so confused about this, and I'll tell you why that is in just a sec too, but he's gonna go up to 22 Mutalisk right now against someone who's playing Terran Mech. Here's the thing, though. If you're anywhere below the top level, and I've tried playing Mutas against Mech, for those of you that watch the live stream, you've seen it, it's painful. It's super painful. It takes about 1 mistake to lose these Mutas. Now, most of the time, I tend to lose them against like 2 Thors, because 2 Thors with like 2 Javelin missiles end up killing them, it seems like. Or like a bunch of Widow Mines buried in mineral lines as well. Those have become really popular too. Apparently, Terran players are, well, oh my god, this is so risky. Like, imagine there were like 4 Widow Mines buried right over, or buried right, well, I can't even talk anymore. Imagine they were like right over there, right? They could be anywhere. I guess he knows that he's not going up against Widow Mines at this point, but this seems so risky to me. Because if you make one mistake with these Mutas, right? Like, Mutas really are like playing an RPG and putting all of your points in damage. They have like 0 survivability, and they absolutely die so quickly, right? Now, obviously, if you're good with them, you can technically get a lot of value out of them. So that's 9 SCVs going down. Terran player is panicking here as well. You can see the Hellions were apparently sent here together with the siege tanks to gun down Mutas. Not going to happen. And now immediately, soO is going to move apparently to the front here as well, just trying to see if he can get decent trades. Now, in the meantime, while this is going on, he's adding on more Mutalisk, and he's getting a lot of bases. Now, this is the real key here. I think what he's probably going to do is go up to like 90 to maybe even 100 drones here and just mine a ton. Yeah, look at that. Here we go. Additional workers are coming up. He's going up towards Hive. Does he even have Evo chambers at this point? Oh, yeah, he does. Okay, I was going to say. Does he have... Yeah, he's got +1 missile. Okay, but he's got very bad upgrades here in general, to be honest. Like, 11 minutes into the game. He's just trying to, like, soft contain this Terran player and make sure that they don't move out, right? And already, he's maxed out right now. He's at 87 drones. Probably will add on a couple more here, although, well, you can only add on 5 more. Yeah, he adds on a couple more. I think what he wants to do is just keep this Terran player contained and just keep him pinned back. Now, most weaker Terran players here probably would feel a little bit threatened by all of this and not expand behind it. Look at this. This is TY we're talking about. He's adding on 3 additional command centers, and he's going to be up to 5 base economy, and that's really where Terran Mech becomes super scary. 4 bases is already super risky as well. Oh my god. This is so weird. 4 bases for Terran Mech is already a lot. They can max out off of that for sure. 5 bases though, with I guess like 7 command centers. That's gonna be more than enough to like max out several times here for a Terran player as well. Now this is cool. Oh my god. So this is also like, this is even a more recent development I suppose. I've never seen this before. I think he's making Liberators and pretending they're Valkyries. Does anyone remember Valkyries from StarCraft 1? They deal splash damage to air. Now, they kind of suck at air-to-air damage, but I guess they can do a lot of damage to Mutas if they're, like, clumped up together. Oh my god, this is painful, actually. Losing armories? Oof. That's a full upgrade gone. Ship weapons too. Denied. That's an Ultralisk cavern. So wait, let me get this straight, right? He's going Muta, Ling, Bane with Ultralisk right now and then Viper support too against someone who's playing Terran Mech. This makes no sense unless you're a top level player, I suppose. Look at these Valkyries. Wannabe Valkyries, that is. That's so crazy. Huh. Here's the thing. If you are anywhere below someone with some of the best game sense and, you know, some of the best micro in StarCraft 2, you're not going to be able to pull off a strategy like this. Like, I really want to emphasize how much of a paperweight a Muta is. Like, they really are super pathetic when it comes to, like, straight-up engagements against, like, Thors and stuff. They're also not very good at fighting Liberators, I guess, when they're clumped up like that. This is so odd. So this is very new, though. Like, this is, like, the first game where I'm seeing someone go apparently Ultralisk right now against Terran Mech as well. Well, I've actually casted one game before. Actually, wasn't that Clem versus soO? Like, I think that was back in, like, January or February. This was something that soO was actually doing back then as well, I believe. I'm not sure. If it is the case, I'll go ahead and post a link to that video down below in the description of this one. I believe that actually was soO, yeah. He was going Ultras against Mech then too, if I'm not mistaken. Now, none of it makes sense, but I think the whole idea, and that's the only reasonable explanation that I've got, I think the whole idea is just to try and keep the Terran player contained, and then just, like, remax like crazy once, you know, your first army inevitably ends up failing. So look at this Terran force right over here, and look at that of the Zerg, right? Like, this doesn't make any sense. This is a unit composition you play against Bio, not against Terran Mech. Well, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's maybe it's now also something you play against Terran Mech then. But you have to be super confident in your Muta control and your multitasking. So look at the bank right now. Zerg is sitting at over 11,000 resources. Terran though is maxed out and also now at 4K. That's a lot. I actually kind of thought that he would be aggressively trying to deny these bases on the outer perimeter, right? Because he's been darting between like the natural and then the fourth a lot. But all of the bases here on the right-hand side of the map seem to have gone up, mostly uncontested. A couple of banelings now. Ooh, here we go. Even more inefficient trading. They roll forward, get a lot of value done. And this is once again going to force the Terran player back. A couple of siege tanks fall, and Zerg is going to be able to extend that bank even more. Look at the bank. Are you kidding me? Is this going to become like a normal thing? Now, ultimately, though, like I said, right? Once Terran starts moving across the map, their army composition should be a lot better. It's just that with this amount of creep spread over here, they can't really move very quickly, so Zerg gets a lot of time to, like, prepare for a fight like that. Set up, like, different angles everywhere, make a lot of banelings and all that, and maybe even get, like, you know, their perfect unit composition ready to go as well. But this Zerg army is definitely not meant to destroy this Terran army in the first engagement. So, what's the next step? See a couple of infestors here. I see a couple of Vipers as well. Very difficult set of units to control. Your multitasking has to be on point. Nicely done though so far though by TY. I'm still a little bit anxious for this, right? Because I'm really hyping up the Zerg player here, but I can totally imagine Terran just like moving across the map here in a second. He's now making like what? How many Thors was that on the production tab? He's got 4 right now. I think there were like 7 all at once being produced here on that production tab. That's insane. Those Thors are so powerful. Especially against Mutas, obviously, but also really good against, well, here we go. The Javelin missiles. Also against, like, say, what are they called? Like, those big flyy boys. Brute Lords. Say, like, Zerg wants to go for a Brute Lord switch. Or even Ultras as well, actually. They're pretty good against that, too. Nicely done, and our base gets denied. Are you just gonna push in here? No! He's just pushing in here! What the? Huh? That was a terrible fight. Look at soO's supply right now. That was terrible. That was really bad. Now, so far, yeah, in the grand scheme of things, you can see 43 Mutas apparently have been killed. This is where the tech switch happens, though. Terran at this point doesn't really know what he's gonna go up against. Zerg is really good at being flexible with their unit composition, obviously. I think what he wants to go for is, like, Ultralisks together with Brute Lords? Does he even have a Greater Spire? No, he doesn't. Huh? This is so weird. So, on paper, the strategy makes sense of, like, trying to contain them, but this Terran player is not contained. Right? Like, that is a lot of Terran. I guess Zerg has more. Yeah, Zerg is just, like, mining off of more bases right now, but it's not like Terran has, like, a bad eco here whatsoever. He still doesn't have a Great Aspire, by the way. I guess these Corruptors here are just gonna be to deal with Liberators? Well, I mean, you can't even go Brute Lords here. What in the world are you going to do against this amount of Thors? Okay. So. I wish I could give you more clarity, but I'm as confused as probably you are as well. Now, oh my god, that's a beautiful Blinding Cloud, though. Sloppy misplay there by TY, leaving those Thors to wander all the way towards the Ultralisks. Ultras, though, man. Look at them. They just die. Like, Ultras don't do anything, man. I guess they do a little bit, but mostly because of that Blinding Cloud there, and that felt like a misplay from the Terran, more so than like an amazing play of the Zerg. He's adding on more. Ultras are going to be maxed in upgrades here in just a little bit, but so are all of these Terran units. He's now got triple frickin' armory. I love it. Triple armory? Never seen that before. Wow. I kind of feel like we're watching the 2021 meta of StarCraft 2. It almost feels like I haven't casted a lot of StarCraft recently and that I missed some very important steps. The thing is, I haven't. I've casted so much StarCraft. I've been playing so much StarCraft. My MMR currently is higher than I think it's ever been. But this makes no sense, this game. And I guess it kind of does. It makes no sense right now because I've not really seen it before, but I just don't see this Zerg army ever trading even remotely efficiently. Now, I think the infestors could be valuable. Here we go. Yeah, siege tanks. Oh my god. Okay, well, I said that. The infestors now coming in for the battle as well is really, really big. Look at that. A couple of Thors, a couple of siege tanks. They all get neuraled, and now they're fighting the Terran army all at once. Since Terran has so much supply caught up in so few units, just losing like even 3 of them there is absolutely massive. And now the Ultras, man. Oh my god, look at this. This makes no sense. These Ultras are getting melted, but I guess they kill most of the stuff there. Huh. Huh? So, let me get this straight. He went Mutaling Bane against Terran Mech. Mostly Mutas, that is. Super late upgrades. So only just now is when he's finally finishing up 3-3. And for some reason, he transitioned to Ultras. Couple of Infestors, couple of Vipers, and he's making it happen. It seems like he's making it happen anyway. Terran units are gonna come out of that main base, though. And Terran still has a very solid economy. It kind of feels... Okay, here's what it feels like to me, okay? It seems like soO is making this work, but what if Terran would have gone for a big timing attack? Like, before maxing out, I mean. What, like, if they would have pushed that +2/+2, or something like that, right? With, like, their first maxed out force. I guess it's scary to go onto the creep, but it really feels like Zerg had so little to defend against it. Once again, man, these Ultras don't seem to get a lot of value. Liberators, you gotta siege up. Come on, siege. I guess they're scared of sieging because then they get probably neuraled or something along those lines. And you know what? Now we're seeing all of these Ultralisks. soO is effectively forcing out siege tanks at this point, right? So what about like a big switch right now towards Brute Lords? It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea at all. I guess the idea behind it is like just abusing the immobility of Terran Mech, right? And this is apparently the reason why Terran Mech is no longer really being played over in South Korea. All of the top tier Terran players in Korea right now, and actually outside of Korea as well at this point, they're all playing Bio again. They're all playing that Marine, Marauder, Medivac, Widowmine, Siege Tank kind of army composition that transitions towards Ghosts and Liberators and stuff in the late game. Now, great stabilization though here by TY, right? He's done an amazing job here getting back into it. Look at the amount of siege tanks as well. He's got an awful lot. He's got 10 tanks over here. But here he comes again, dude. He's just running forward into like that freaking siege tank army. That feels so unnatural to me. Like, my instinct here, I've played a lot of StarCraft over the years, is telling me that that is a terrible idea. And it seems like it was. But once again, Terran gets, you know, some of their supply depleted, I guess, right? Some of it gets diminished. And Zerg is happily still mining off of much more economy. And look at that. Here's that Ultralisk. Or, sorry, not the Ultralisk, but the Brute Lord transition. This is a good snipe, though. Nicely done here by TY. Very cool. It really feels like we're talking about 2021 StarCraft rather than 2020 StarCraft. Feels like there's like 17 steps over here in between that make this make sense, but right now it's a little bit confusing to me. It feels super swarmy though, so I'm not complaining, right? One of my big complaints about that Brute Lord Infestor style that was way too strong in the previous balance patch was that it just didn't feel swarmy at all. Now look at this. There's a couple of Cyclones that can shoot up. That's it. Terran really does not have any anti-air. Remember those Thors? They would be amazing against this army. But I guess... Yeah, you're not going to be able to make those. Well, he's going to make them right now, but that's going to take like 7.5 years until they will finally be over in this location. By then, these bases will probably be gone. What a cool style that soO is playing here. And he's really been... he's been engineering this playthrough, or this kind of play style as well. I've not seen a lot of people play something like this. I guess it's very soO-esque as well, right? Because most of the time, he doesn't like playing that late game force. I guess this is a late game force, but when it comes to like late game force, I mean like tons of spellcasters and stuff. How many Infestors does he have at this point? He's got only 4. Yeah, 4 and then 1 Viper. Pretty interesting. Not an easy unit composition to play at all. Now, for a while, and this is one of the reasons as well, apparently, why Terran Mech kind of fell out of favor for a bit. Zerg players were going for a lot of, what is it called? Hydra Lurker Viper. So Hydra Lurker Viper was really popular. That's, for example, what we saw Serral play at Home Story Cup 20. This was back in November when the balance patch was still really new. Terran players got really good at countering that at some point, and Hydra Lurker Viper really has fallen out of favor. It seems like it's now all about just swarming the opponent and trying to, like, prevent them from getting a ton of economy out and just mining more than them. And then eventually, while taking like really cost inefficient trades, eventually overwhelming them. Because look at this right now. TY has had about 25 minutes of mining, right? He's taken most bases on his side of the map, but Zerg had more. Zerg had more mining here. And that's just because of the mobility and the creep and the vision and, well, the slowness, I suppose, like the speed at which Terran Mech moves. TY has denied a lot of bases, but despite all of that, Zerg has just simply had more army. Now look at this, there's a couple of infestors on the ground. I can't imagine they're looking for, they're looking right here for the neural parasite here on the Thors. Zerglings coming up. He sees Blue Flame Hellions with, like, he sees Blue Flame Hellions together with Thors and he's like, yeah, you know what I need? Zerglings. It really makes very little sense, but somehow, some way he's making it work. And I think he's actually in a winning position right now. Oh, he's looking for the parasitic bomb right there as well. What a strange way to, like, approach this matchup. That's almost rude. Now, I can imagine there's gonna be one feisty young Zerg player watching this, feeling inspired about playing this style as well. To you, I say good luck. Here's the thing, man. This unit composition and this style that he plays, it looks easy. But he's playing with, like, you know, queens and then also infestors and vipers. So all three spellcasters. He's making tech switches all the time. He's macroing, he's spreading creep. And then he's constantly attacking in the right space at the right moment. And obviously earlier on he had those what are they called? The Mutalisk that sort of served as like a stepping stone to get towards that economy. They have been absolutely monumental here as they allowed him to eventually go up to this army. But it's so odd, right? So here's the thing. Now that Terran is like forced to defend this area of the map, right? They also have to focus all their units there. And as soon as that happens, Zerg is immediately grabbing as many expansions on the opposite corner of the map. I guess Terran Mech might become really popular on like smaller maps. This map has a lot of bases, so I guess like maps where you say have like 12 expansions or something in total, rather than like, I think it's 16 or so on this map. I think it's 8 per player. I'm not sure. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think it's 16. I may have missed one. But anyways, I can imagine like smaller maps with less mining, Mech could be really popular. Is he just gonna push up here again? Are you kidding me right now? He's just moving up here again. Huh? And he's making it work too, man. I guess he knows at this point that the Terran has been so low in economy for so long that he's been able to like outproduce them for such a while. He's just fearless moving up this ramp. I mean, honestly, soO is playing this like a champion. He's been looking ridiculous over the last couple of weeks. In a few of the games that I've seen him play, oh my god. He's been looking really, really, really strong. And, yeah, he's playing fearless. Really, really nicely done. I'm really curious in hearing your thoughts down below in the comment section of this video on this sort of play style. I kind of feel like this is one of those play styles that works great, maybe at the highest level of play, but everyone on the ladder is likely gonna be struggling, right? So here's a good example of that as well. Skytos, so Skytos versus Zerg, super popular on the ladder. Most players below like the top 500 or so are struggling so hard against that unit composition. But at the pro level, we barely ever see it because the Zergs are so very good at dealing with it, right? And I can imagine Terran Mech might very well go in the same camp, where it's going to be super strong on the ladder, but that's mostly because the top tier Zerg players are getting really good at countering it as well. But you need to be of a certain skill level in order to counter that, and most people just never get there. It's interesting, it's really cool. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section of this video. For now though, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile alright, and I will see you once again in the next one.